Okay, so good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this Institute Colloquium, and we have a very eminent personality among us, Professor Arun Kumar Grover, who used to be a faculty in the TIFR and then the VC of the Punjab University. And Professor Grover will be talking on the partnership between a very interesting topic of the interaction between Professor Megh and Professor Shanti Bhatnagar. I didn't aware about that. So I request Professor Tanushree Shah, our director, to kindly introduce the speaker.
So I think it is my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, whom many of you know, but you know him in his different avatar, if I may say so. That he was a renowned condensed matter experimentalist who was interested in strongly correlated electron system, and he was working in TIFR for many years. And those who are with some gray hairs, they would have definitely interacted with him, as not that many people are with the gray hairs here. So as a very renowned condensed matter physicist. But then from TIFR, he moved as a vice chancellor to Panjab University, as has been already said here. And I think he probably had already inclination towards this studying history of science, but no. Then after moving to Punjab University, he seriously started pursuing this thing. And I think this is as important as pursuing condensed matter physics, because in fact, the history of science in our country is so rich that it's an endless thing. And in this context, we were just discussing that last year we organized series of 10 talks to celebrate really such illustrious scientists in the pre-independence era. We stopped at 10 because we have limited, resources and limited organization capacity. But I feel that 10 is maybe out of 100 possible things we could have talked about, we talked only about 10. And today's talk is actually a kind of a follow-up talk on what we celebrated as this illustrious scientist in the pre-independence era, because here again we'll talk about two illustrious scientists. Megh Saha, a talk was devoted on Megh Saha, but that was looking more at the scientist aspect of Megh Saha. But today's talk will highlight, I think, a different aspect of Megh Saha, more of a administrator, planning commission chairman, and we are very eager to hear about the dialogue that happened between Megh Saha and Shanti Bhatnagar, another very prominent personality in the pre-independence era. So with that, I invite today's speaker, Professor Grover, to deliver.
Thank you, Tanushree.
So this here is the pointer.
Okay. Right. So, okay, so you can hear me clearly. Fine, so I am, to start with, grateful to Tanushree for consenting to host my today's colloquium. I must confess, this is my first visit to this campus. I was at TIFR for 4 decades before moving to Chandigarh as a Vice Chancellor in the year 2012. After 2018, I'm still at Chandigarh. Okay, I'm currently associated with Punjab Engineering College, which is today a deemed university, which actually also came from Lahore as a McLagan College of Engineering. So this is the alma mater of Satish Dhawan. Satish Dhawan had graduated from McLagan College of Engineering, which was recreated in Chandigarh. And actually, the PEC Chandigarh is the first academic institution which came up in the new city Chandigarh in the year 1953. University happened 3 years down the line. So anyway, this visit is accompanying science historian Dr. Rajinder Singh from University of Oldenburg. And I had not known Rajinder prior to his writing a book on Vibha Chaudhary, which is co-authored with Suprakash Roy. It's only after that, online, I met him. Then the book was reprinted for Northern on behalf of Alumni Association of the IFR and the IPA, etc., etc. So I decided, I met him for the first time in August of 2022, which is as recent as this. So then, long story, this event came up that today 2 of his books are going to be released in Calcutta University. One of them is co-authored with, again, faculty from Calcutta University. So I decided to accompany him. And Rajinder, having written so much about the scientists and the science from Calcutta, okay, a little bit of my prompting has also now taken up writing on Punjabi scientists. So I thought, okay, I have never been to College of Science, etc., etc. And my own introduction to this topic is when the IPA decided to commemorate, IPA and the Science Academies, they decided to commemorate 125 years of S.N. Bose and Megh Saha, year 2019. So a meeting was organized at HBNI in Bombay, and I was invited to speak on that occasion. So I looked at both of them as contemporaries of Shanti Bhatnagar. Bhatnagar is also born 1894, so it is also 125th year of Bhatnagar. So I gave a talk on 4 titans of Indian science: Bose, Saha, Mahalanobis, and Bhatnagar. So they were all involved as India becomes independent. So moving on, now there is commemoration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Somebody asked me to give a talk on role of Indian scientists in India's independence. So that worried me a little because most of the teacher scientists of India were working for government colleges or the universities, which were created by the colonial government. So they were not proactively participating in the independence movement. But they have a very important role to play. Because while the political leaders were fighting politically during the Second World War, yes, the Indian teacher scientists are the one who prepared for the development of an agenda. So we ran a series on behalf of an NGO. What did the Indian scientists do in independent India? They built institutions and launched nurture initiatives. So we ran a series of, the series is still going on, 25 odd lecture we have had on institution building and nurture initiatives in independent India. So as a part of this, this came up. Today's topic is essentially this. Yes. So what is today's topic? In short, it is Saha and Bhatnagar as science leaders who first came to know each other in the year 1920. Second World War gave them an opportunity to work together. Okay, and Bhatnagar was moved from Lahore to Calcutta. He arrived in Calcutta in 1940. Saha was already there, 38. He had moved back from Allahabad to Calcutta as a college professor in 1938. Okay, and now some money Saha has, some money Bhatnagar has, which is to be distributed to teacher scientists of India, and he ropes in all his contemporaries, okay, which includes Saha, J.C. Ghosh, Mahalanobis, everybody is all in it. Okay, Saha continues to write about how India should be developed in the science and culture. And in the backdrop of this, the symposium was convened in Calcutta when J.C. Ghosh was the president of National Institute of Sciences. And in that symposium, the agenda for independent India is conceived. Indian independence is still far away. Okay, now this agenda has to be endorsed by someone. And Saha used Bhatnagar, because Bhatnagar was a government servant. He was a CSIR creator and he was a director of CSIR. So he invites A.V. Hill who was the MP at that time, and also the secretary of the Royal Society. So he comes to India, travels. He's war years, but he still manages to come. Spends 4 months traveling all over India, endorses the plans that were conceived by the teacher scientists of India, and that is the agenda for implementation. So this is a preview of the talk, and this is rest of it is details. Okay, so talk is already loaded on your computer. You can happily do it. So in summary, this is what it is. Okay. So this is Saha, you all know. So we had established this academy in 1930. He returned in 1938. He was member of the Education Commission headed by Radhakrishnan, and he was elected to the Lok Sabha like A.B. Hill in 52, and he of course passed away in 56. So this is Bhatnagar for you. Okay, but Saha was born in Dhaka, East Bengal. So Bhatnagar is born in Bera, which is now a part of West Pakistan. So fine. So he had gone to London to do his PhD under F.G. Donner. And Saha had completed his PhD, and he was on Premchand Rajchand's fellowship as a postdoc in London at the same time. This is where they meet together. They traveled together to be announced in 1921 in Berlin. Okay, and Bhatnagar returns as a first director of the University Chemical Laboratories in 1925. After 14 years, he is picked up to as a director of the Board of Scientific and Industrial Research, he of CSIR. Okay, and then several things happen. He is the Secretary Higher Education, and India becomes independent. He is also chairman of the UGC. So more similarities between these are the kind of papers that Saha wrote for his PhD thesis. Single author papers, only one jointly. This is what gets him his PhD. And this is the single author papers that Bhatnagar writes in London, which gets him his DSc. Okay. So there was great appreciation for each other. And this is a photograph. Okay, you can all recognize this came extracted from the INSA publication which came up in 2019. Okay, so this is C.C. Ray, and this is Saha, this is Bhatnagar, and this is J.N. Mukherjee. Okay, and this also has J.N. Malik. Okay, and it also has Fowler and so on. Okay, so this is just to tell you that they knew each other well. So these are contemporaries of Saha and Bose. Okay, you know all these faces. So Bhatnagar knew all of them. Okay, so these are a bunch of a dozen people who shaped India. So this is again a photograph from the same book, and this is 1937, and this is now with J.C. Bose, all of them. Okay, when they are a little older. Bhatnagar is not there in this, of course. So fine. So this is before the war. You know why Bhatnagar is picked up to head Board of Scientific and Industrial Research. But Bhatnagar was all the time a consultant to the industrialists. So industrialists were making money out of the consultancy that he provided. So one of the Attack Oil Company, whose parent was a steel company in London. So Bhatnagar had given a solution while exploring oil in Punjab. So that company gave Bhatnagar 1.5 lakh rupees in 1931. Later on, it was announced to some 5 lakh rupees or some such thing. So Bhatnagar gave all this money as a scholarship to his students. Not only his students, but any other professor of Lahore if wanted to do research. So scholarship was paid not by Sarkar, but it's out of Bhatnagar's money. So this is what Bhatnagar used to do. Okay, and Saha was well aware of it, and this is what Saha wrote. Teachers, congratulations on your noble gift to Punjab University. You have raised the standard of university teachers in the eyes of the public. Okay, nobody else is paying money. When Saha is aware, the industrialists don't give any money for any scientific research. Sarkar also doesn't give any money for the industrial research. So it is in this backdrop, the election had been held in 1937, and these elections were fought by various political parties, and Nehru was in charge of the election campaign on behalf of Congress. So in Punjab or Bengal, none of the political parties win. It is the coalition governments came up in this thing. So we get partition in Punjab and Bengal, not because of a fight between this thing, but also. Fine. Okay. So now this is an extract from Venkataraman's book. Not Venkataraman's book. Venkataraman delivered a talk. He wrote the biography of Raman. So he gave a talk in BRC on the Founders' Day of BRC. Okay, and he says that Saha and Nehru knew each other from 37, so that's not correct. Saha and they knew each other much earlier than that. Because Saha and Nehru had, in the same day that he says Nehru had known each other quite well for over a decade. So they knew each other from 1923 onwards. Fine. And in 38, Saha had persuaded Bose to create a planning committee. Planning committee was to be headed by Vishwesvaraya, but Saha very smartly persuaded Vishwesvaraya to step down, and Nehru was named as the chair of the planning committee. So all this has happened in 38. The war is still not commenced. Okay. So it is in this backdrop. Okay, things happen, and Venkataraman concludes that when the atomic energy happens, then again now Saha is competing with Bhabha, but somehow Bhabha wins. But the entire atomic energy program comes in simply because Saha and Bhatnagar held Bhabha to the fullest. The purpose of this talk is to tell you a little bit of that. So fine, this is again Bose. This again is from the same book. Okay, and this rest of the people are all industries ministers in the various state governments which got elected in the year 1937. The only non-minister is Saha. This is a meeting in Delhi, and this book says that all that was the handiwork of Saha. So fine, what were the universities in India in 1938? It was in Calcutta, the IACS, most research institute is there, Bombay, Panjab. So this is a list of all these institutions where there are scientists and engineers. Okay, they're scattered all over India. Everything had started in some sense from Calcutta, but it has spread. Because the students trained at Calcutta had permeated the various institutions in India. So who are the people involved? So this is the scientists around 1939. You can recognize all the Raman, K.C. Ghosh, Mahanalove, Sagarkar, Saha, Mitra, Mukherjee. All these are from Calcutta. Then there is Allahabad has Krishnan. Krishnan has moved from Calcutta to Allahabad after Saha vacated that place. And N.R. Dhar had been there earlier than Saha in Allahabad. He was the first guy to get a DSc from London before even Bhatnagar. Okay. So then this is Dhaka. Birbal Sani had moved from Punjab to Lucknow, and B.P. Paul was in IARI, Kothari was in the Delhi University, Sir Sahib Singh Sokhi was at Haskell Institute, Bombay, Bhagwantam was at Andhra, and Ian Wadia initially was in the GSI, and then he had moved to the Bombay. So all these people you can recognize, they are the ones who shaped India. They, so fine, little bit before that. So Raman got Nobel Prize 30. Raman and Ghosh wanted to have an advisory board for scientific research. They were supported by the editor of Nature, but the viceroy would have nothing to do with it. So Tata tried to create a control and research lab at Jamshedpur, which later on became the National Metallurgical Lab. So it is in this background that the Second World War happened. World War happens. Ramaswamy Mudaliar picks up Bhatnagar, asked him to move to Calcutta, and Bhatnagar leaves Lahore on April 1, 1940. And Bhatnagar invites all of them. He has only 5 lakh rupees to distribute. But there was at least some money. Okay. So in December 1941, and Bhatnagar in Calcutta was working as a national test lab in Alipur. Okay, that was the only lab at that time. And Bhatnagar had decided to create a lab for physics and chemistry, 2 separate labs. And the physics lab was supposed to be in Calcutta, and the chemistry lab was supposed to go to Pune. But the Japanese enter the war, December of 41. They start moving into the to Asia, and now when they near Burma and they also occupy Andamans. Okay, and at that time, Bhatnagar decides to take this NPL to Delhi, National Physical Lab to Delhi. And it is in that background only that Krishna leaves Calcutta and moves to Allahabad to a position which was vacated by Saha. So, fine. So, yes, this CSR comes into being on 26th of September 1942. That is the day Bhatnagar Awards are announced. Okay. So 43, the symposium happened, and the title of the symposium is Post-War Organization of Scientific Research in India. So all these people, they contribute, and this you have seen that list of people who are to contribute to this thing. I have proceedings of that, which is very minutes, you can see it. So they get together, prepare a report. Saha now masterminds that they should get A.V. Hill to endorse it. So Bhatnagar invites via the colonial government A.V. Hill to India. A.V. Hill arrives March on November of 1943, and he spends 4 months in India, traveling all across India to do all this. So this is Council of National Institute of Sciences, 44. You see Ghosh is the president, and you can see all the names there. Saha is a council member. DM Bose, everyone is there. Okay, in some capacity of this. Okay, and so it is in that background. What did they discuss? How should the wartime infrastructure in science and technology be assimilated for peacetime civilian organization? This is the agenda. Okay. What should be the overall organizational model for science and technology? And how should India benefit from post-colonial or Commonwealth structure? You know, independence is, nobody is talking of independence of India at that stage. Complete independence is not on that card. Of course, Purna Azadi was passed in 1930s, because Subhash and Nehru had endorsed what Bhagat Singh was arguing. And the resolution had been done on 26 January in 1930 in Lahore. Okay, but it had not moved forward. Purna Swaraj had not moved forward. And it said, you know, an objective of the symposium was to articulate the need for constitution of a national research council. We still do not have an equivalent of it today, after all this discussion on NEP, New Education Policy, National Research, this. We still don't have it. But its first articulation happens in 1943. Okay, so so what is the resolution adopted? Okay, NIS should be authorized to take necessary steps for the organization of National Research Council. And it should plan the main lines of scientific research in accordance with the national needs to ensure balanced development of all branches of science and minimize overlapping. Okay, and training and supply of scientific personnel for pure and applied research. This is a resolution. Can you believe it? This is all done in 40, end of 43. So, NRC, 4 verticals: scientific research, agricultural research, medical and public health, engineering research. Boards for these. And who should plan national labs in India? Foundation stones of national labs were laid only in 45, 46. But how many, who, what subject, this, that, all articulation is already. And how should the president of this thing be elected? So a complete framework was drawn up by the teacher scientists of India. Okay, and it said, Agarkar says, it needs 5 crore rupees to implement this agenda. And not only that, whatever the proposals they made, it was sent to all, and a deadline was given by 31st of December. Give your feedbacks, and then things will move further. And the proceedings that were brought out, okay, in 44, few months after all this had been done. So what did Bhatnagar say? at the symposium. He says, okay, so he talks of everything, okay. He talks of increase in food production, fuel and power, for accelerating industrialization, shipbuilding, automobile, transport industries, chemical industries, and you also need management, financial management. To do manufacture, trade, so there's banking organization also. So everything has been discussed and understood outside the colonial government. And what did Bhatnagar say 3 weeks before this? That was September 27, 28, 43, and this September 8, 1943. It says it is abundantly clear that scientific and industrial research will have to be subsidized and encouraged both by the state and the people on a very large scale. So these 21st century slogans were there in pre-independent India by the teacher scientists of India. Okay, these are ideals of industry and science are really the same. Okay, industry must come to the aid of science, or industry is not a process of making money for individuals. Everything has to be done for the society at large. Whatever you manufacture has to be consumed by the society. If there are no consumers, how will you sustain the industry? So there is there is a complete clarity as to who has to do what and why. So now I told you, Baba is able to do whatever because both these leaders are behind him. Okay, so this is so Baba delivered a series of 25 lectures when he had got trapped in Bangalore. So Saha knows lectures have been delivered. Saha invites Baba to come and deliver these lectures in Calcutta. Because nerve center of the research actually is Calcutta. So he invites him. So he comes. Then Saha also shares his plans to do cosmic ray research using the altitude of Darjeeling. So DM Bose was already doing that with Biba Chaudhary. So there is a parallel activity that Saha is wanting to do, and he shares it with Baba. Baba had not yet started to do cosmic ray research at Bangalore, so Saha is telling him that all this is possible. Yes. So fine, Baba comes, delivers these lectures. These are summaries published in Science and Culture. Okay, and now Saha has vacated his place in Allahabad. And Raman is telling Saha, Baba has become an FRS in 1940, and he was a reader in Bangalore. So now Raman is persuading Baba that he should accept a professorship vacated by Saha. So Baba consults Krishnan because Krishnan had signed his nomination papers for the FRS after the meeting in Madras in 1940. Krishnan had been elected FRS in 1940. Baba's nomination was signed by Birbal Sahni, Krishnan, and Raman, plus others. Okay, so Baba solicits opinion of Krishnan. Should he go to Allahabad? If he goes, how much is the teaching duty, etc., etc. Because Baba knew that as a teacher, time available for research is limited. So he thinks all this thing, and then he decided he will not go to Allahabad. He declines that offer. But the same offer is then picked up by Krishnan in 42. So Krishnan vacates his Mahendralal Sarkar professorship. So Saha now offers his Mahendralal Sarkar professorship to Baba. But by that time, Baba has decided that he will not do any such thing. He already has in his mind to create an institute in Bombay, which will be devoted to cosmic rays, nuclear physics. So initially, TIFR is supposed to be Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in Physics, Maths, etc. All these things get added up. So I gave you So Baba visits again Calcutta in January of 43. Okay, and then this symposium happens in which Baba contributes a paper, Allocation for Scientific Research to the University. This was a topic assigned by Saha to Baba. Okay. So fine. So Krishnan moves to this thing. Baba loses his father in July of 42, and that becomes a turning point. Then he decides formally that he will not go back to Calcutta. he will create an experimental and theoretical group in Bangalore. And it was in that background, after Krishnan moves to Allahabad, Krishnan sends Harish Chandra, who was a student of physics at Allahabad, to work with Bhabha in Bangalore. Because so many people are reading Bhabha to go up. So by June of 43, Bhabha had decided that he will do cosmic rays. Okay, and Millikan had already visited Bangalore before the war, and he had flown balloons from Bangalore. So Bhabha decides to take that agenda forward. He gets a grant to do this, to take the agenda forward, which had been started by Millikan on cosmic rays. So you fly balloons. You also have built a cloud chamber, and you also do emulsions. So these are the particle detectors. Okay. So DM Bose was doing both. Okay. Emulsion plates as well as this. We had this cloud chamber, and then there's GM counters which Millikan was flying. So they all want to do this. So there is sort of multiple centers in India which are engaged in cosmic rays physics. So July of 43, Harish Chandra arrived in Bangalore. August of 43, Bhabha writes this famous letter to J.R.D. Tata. Okay, where he shares his thoughts of creating a TIFR. Okay, and this famous sentence is from the lack of proper conditions for work and intelligent financial support hampers the development of science at a pace which the talent can would want. This is in that letter. So 44, Bhabha seeks the advice of A.V. Hill for his institution. The institution letter is, this is 44, and A.V. Hill, before leaving India, A.V. Hill informs Bhabha that Saha has plans of getting S. Chandrasekhar back from Chicago to India. So Hill informs Bhabha of Saha's plan, and Bhabha immediately writes to Chandrasekhar that you come. Because Saha doesn't have that kind of a financial support to do things in Calcutta, which Bhabha has because he's a nephew of Dorothy Tata. And J.R.D. Tata is his personal friend. He's only a few years older than him. Bhabha is born 1909, J.R.D. Tata is born 1904. So they are more of friends, okay. Fine. So Bhabha had gone to Delhi to deliver a lecture. It was attended by Ramaswamy Mudaliar, who was the one who got the CSIR created. And Bhatnagar had already moved to Delhi. CSIR was functioning now from Delhi, not from Calcutta, after 43. So Bhabha learned what money will be given to CSIR, etc., etc. So the very first letter that he writes to chairman of the Gaurav Tata Trust, Saklatwala, okay, A.V. Hill figures 4 times in that letter. And he also in that he says that if CSR gives 10% of the money it is planning to spend on NPL, that will be enough for running the TIFR. So TIFR was supposed to be a small entity. And today TIFR spends 10 times the amount that NPL does. You are seeking only 10% of what NPL was to be doing at that time. Anyway, so A.V. Hill recommends NRC, okay, and he said scientific research, all this should be brought under this thing. He also recommends creation of a planning and research department on behalf of Government of India. So it is created, and who heads it? Ardeshir Dalal, who was an ICS officer who had resigned from ICS and become the MD of Tata Steels. And he is the one who had authored the Bombay plan for Tata Birla plan for industrialization of India. The same person is inducted in Delhi. So he is now made the administrative head of the planning department, which is created, and CSIR is a part of that planning department. So you can see all these people, they know what is happening. They are privy to everything that is happening. And there is some synergy between what they are talking and what they want to do in it. So, okay, TIFR commences June 1. By December 1945, it moves to Bombay. So, and now, what did Hill say? So, Hill submitted a report to Government of India, and that report was done in August of 44. And that report had this 24 sections. Okay, so that report is as yet not in the public domain. So things start to happen, but the report is not in public domain. So Hill takes the initiative because he's an MP, he wants people to know what he has done. So he summarizes everything into a 4-page report and gets it published in Nature in May of 1945. So this detailed report, and it has everything, okay? There should be a medical center, there should be a statistics and population, survey of resources, scientific research, meteorological this thing, the CSIO kind of a thing. Most important, this is added by every here, pay and status of scientific workers in government service. He deals with it. Okay, and everything is here in this. And then there are these very specific recommendations. Okay, so first recommendation is initiate overseas fellowship scheme for training people abroad. Lots of people, 1,000 people were to be sent abroad. Those young Indians who could not go abroad for further studies due to war, they were to be supported by Government of India fellowships. So this Satish Dhawan, Ram Prakash, Kurian, I don't know whether Vibha Chaudhary also went on a similar fellowship, but a large number of people went on these overseas fellowships. But all this is a part of Heavy Hill's recommendation. Create a super specialty hospital, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. Monitor population data. Industrialization will improve prosperity, reduce mortality, and the population will rise in short term. Because before it stabilizes and reduce in the long term. So it's very, but this is all stated in 1945. Okay, agriculture is India's most important industry. It's stated in 40 in public domain. CSIR has to be expanded. Power, water supply, forest, soil require fuller investigation. There should be a synergy between CSIR and industry. And India needs first quality brains trained in atmosphere of original research and practical experience. Plan for creation of IITs. Okay. NRC, of course, is reduce the gap in salaries of civil servants and researchers to attract the best minds for academia. This is a part of the recommendation. It takes 60 years for that to happen. This is a part of the recommendation. So everything is there, okay? Provide financial assistance to science academies. In contemporary India, DST is trying to take the support away from the science and engineering academies. But this is a part of Heavy Hill's recommendation. Okay? Create Department of Biological Sciences and Earth Sciences. That is why we have DBTs and Ministry of Earth Studies. So everything facilitate more institutes like ISES, Bose Institute, Tata Memorial Hospital. Create more fellowship schemes like Premchand Roychand Scholarship. We haven't done it. But you can say inspire schemes of today are a sort of carry forward agenda which is recommended this year. And October 29, 1944, all these Indian scientists are there in England for a meeting. And in that area, he declares disaster lies ahead if India's industrial development and national welfare are not immediately attended. This end of 44. So this is Indian scientists. He arranges for their visit to travel to US after the war. And this is Millikan. And you can see this is Bhatnagar, this is Saha, this is S.K. Mitra, this is J.C. Ghosh, Nazir Ahmed, who goes on to become the chairman of the Pakistan Atomic Energy Commission. Okay, and Mukherjee. So this is that. Again, this is expected for this 2019 book on Megh. This photograph is there. So what happens from after the Hill report? Okay, So there is a Tata Birla plan comes in. Sargent plan comes in to revamp education in India. And all these people are now participants of these committees. Okay. AICTE gets created in Delhi. Then there is a Sarkar committee which gives the plan for IITs. Okay. And then there is a Bore committee which submits a plan for public health, and that is how the aims, etc., come into being. You know. Bhatnagar, after independence, Bhatnagar is Secretary Higher Education. Radhakrishnan is chair of the Education Commission. Saha is a member of that, important member of that Education Commission. Then general elections are held, UGC is created, and UGC gets passed in 56 after Bhatnagar dies in Bhava, both born when the UGC gets passed. And then second Education Commission comes, and Kothari heads it, and Kothari was a student of Saha at Allahabad, and it is Saha who had sent Kothari to do his PhD with Rutherford. And he returns from England, and he is the guy who is the first head of the physics department in Delhi University from 1936 onwards. So there is Sargent Committee, plan to revamp education. So you can see, you can read through it later. NEP doesn't have anything more than what is stated there. Only thing is we have only partially implemented whatever we were supposed to implement. So we have had a plan 44, then we have plan 1966, we have a plan 86. Last plan they say is 86. They have been planned and planned. The first education commission is the 1854, okay? Woods dispatch. Second one is education commission appointed by Lord Curzon in 1902. Third one is Sargent Committee. Fourth is Kothari Commission. Fifth is 86 plan, Narottra Committee or whatever. And now this is the latest. And similarly, we have Science Policy Resolution 58, which was done by Bhava. Then subsequently, and this is the STIP 2020. That's in, every time something partially happens. It's not that nothing happens. Partially and incrementally things are improving. Okay, but there is some bit of novelty, but it's all like this. There is an evolution, organic evolution in whatever was conceived as early as 1942. Because at that time it is zero. Everything is x is equal to 0, t is equal to 0. So Sargent Committee had said mother tongue should be the medium of instruction. Okay, high school should be of two types. Student teacher ratio should be what? There should be a pre-primary school. Okay, so everything is there. NEP has all these things in a different form. Sargent Committee has also said this about regulating universities. UGC happens much later. First is the Radhakrishnan Committee, which comes in 48. Then the UGC gets created. Then the Kothari Commission comes. But how things have to be done, all this is there in that how to regulate university education. But universities get students from the schools. So no policy on education is without looking at everything together. So that was looked also at. So there is a school boards also are a part of the Sargent system. You remember India had this high schools 10, then there's intermediate stage +2, then there is a BA of 2 years, then there is an MA of 2 years. 10 +2 +2 +2. There are 16 years. The Sargent Committee says no, schools should be strengthened. So higher secondary system is brought in. So the intermediate stage of 2, you reconfigure it. You make it 10 + 1, 11. 1 year you take it out, you add it to BA. So 10 + 2 + 2 becomes 11 + 3. So it is 11 + 3 + 2, 15. Now happens new education policy 86. Then no, we should go back to the +2 stage. But +2 stage should be done in school, not in college. Yeah, junior college. So we threw out this +2 stage from the higher education into the schools, hoping that the things will improve. Okay, so now it's for you to think, did the things improve? See, now it's the same school teachers which were teaching 10. We did not appoint better teachers for the higher secondary schools. We pushed class 12 also into the schools. Did we employ better teachers in schools? Of course, few central schools we opened, few Navodaya Vidyalaya we opened. There we introduced some lecturer system in the schools. But most of the schools in India remained what they were. Okay? So they didn't have good teachers, they didn't have good labs. We did not create any infrastructure in the system. So we had this 11 plus 3 plus 2. We made it 12 plus 3 plus 2. So we enhanced, going up to the research stage, we made it 17 years. Okay. So what does the new education policy says? Keep the 17 as 70. Don't conduct the exam at class 10. We'll conduct exam only at the end of the school at class 12. Just as we said, we'll go from high school to the higher secondary, we'll conduct the end of the school exam at class 11. Now we are saying, no, we'll conduct the end of the school exam at class 12, forget about class 10. Why have the burden of conducting this exam? So just doing away one exam, will it improve the education in schools? $1 million questions. Well, unless you enhance the quality of school teachers and have better infrastructure, better skilling in schools, nothing is going to happen. So this reconfiguring, rearranging these numbers, keeping everything the same is not going to be. See, we have this now, we say 4 years BA. It is 3 years is normal BA. If you do +1, it is a 4 years BA in line with what is happening globally. So at the end of 4 years, as if you can enter a graduate school. This is the thought. But this thought was there even in pre-independence. Lahore had a honor school system. Instead of a 2 years BA or BSc, there was a 2 + 1 years BSc. So at the end of 3 years, it was 10 + 2 + 3, 15. So to get a master's degree, you have to spend 1 year. But that 1 year, you are supposed to do some research. So it takes you to the threshold of this. So 1 year after. So this was, 3 years honor school versus 2 years of normal graduation. So now we have introduced 4 years of bachelor's instead of a normal 3 years of bachelor's. So we have tried these experiments in the past with partial success. Success would be there if every 4-year degree college has quality teachers that are available to students when you join a university department. So you have to make all colleges in India like you have colleges of Delhi University, the constituent colleges of Delhi University, have teachers which are like university teachers. They are funded by the central government, UGC, etc., etc. They are provided money to have infrastructure. So the central government and the state government actually do not have money to give to all the undergraduate colleges in India. So very nice scheme, whatever we are talking, but you have to commit a very large resource to have a partial success. Without resource, there is going to be no success. Anyway, that's not matter of politics. So there are school boards. Okay, there is a Sarkar committee. How much will an IIT cost? All this was given. Okay. To create a IIT in 1946, the number was 3 crores. So today you need 1,000 crores to create an IIT or IISER. What should be the fees charged? What should be the student teacher ratio? Everything is there in the Sarkar committee. And since Sarkar became a minister in the West Bengal under BC Roy, so that is how the IIT Kharagpur was the first to come up. And J.C. Ghosh was pulled out from IIT Bangalore as a director, and he was asked to be the first founder director of IIT Kharagpur. The same agenda, so they conceived plan, and now they also have to implement this. Okay, and this is Bhatnagar in TIFR on January 1, 1954, the day the TIFR campus foundation stone was laid. So TIFR should be a national center of Government of India for nuclear science and mathematics. It's not Baba's thought. It's all Bhatnagar's thing. So Bhatnagar says, he says, lack of sufficient funds made me propose that TIFR should be expanded to include all scientific research of fundamental character, and it should be named as a national institute. This says on 1st of January 1954, and he isn't saying it in a vacuum. He has done this a little earlier. Okay. So what did he do? In Atomic Energy Commission in April of 53, he said Commission noted that it had recognized TIFR as the only laboratory of the Commission to do fundamental science, fundamental research in atomic science. And in view of this decision, Commission would not set up another laboratory for fundamental research of its own. So everything is done. Okay, it will be a national center. The AA has to fund it and liberally fund it because this is the national center for doing fundamental science. SN Bose, your institute, SN Bose Institute is a new TIFR created 40 years down the line in 1987. So there is Bhatnagar, okay, and this January 1, 54, Saha has got invited. By that time, everyone Saha has fallen apart. Okay, so he passed away. J.C. Ghosh then moves in to replace Bhatnagar in Delhi, and he also doesn't live very long. He goes on from January of 59. And Manuel always moves to write the second 5-year plan. So this is defense research. Kothari and Bhagwantam. Kothari was a student of Saha, and Bhagwantam was the last student of Raman before Raman goes from Calcutta to Bangalore. Bhagwantam also was the director of IISc, just as J.C. Ghosh was the director of this. So all these people, they are implementing what they all knew they had proposed. So they have personal stake in doing things. So there is agricultural research. Agricultural research is the most important in the industry of India. So again, who are the people who made agriculture, IARI, gave it an university structure? It is J.N. Mukherjee and B.P. Paul. J.N. Mukherjee was with J.C. Ghosh and Bhatnagar in 1919 as a student of Donnan. J.C. Ghosh and Mukherjee, they had done their DSc from Calcutta and they did a second PhD in London with Donnan. So anyway, so B.P. Paul is there, and this B.P. Paul for you. He was born as in Punjab, Brahmadas Paul. That's beside the thing. So Swaminathan said that he was the most eminent biologist India has produced. And this is Swaminathan, I am not saying it. And this is in this biographical memoirs of the Fellows of the Royal Society. This is where Swaminathan. And he was called the Homi Baba of agricultural sciences. Okay. And Bhatnagar secretary, and then first act of Bhatnagar as chairman UGC is to announce the increase in salaries of college and university teachers by 25%. But universities didn't have a uniform way of paying the teachers. One university paid something else, other universities paid something else. Reference was what they paid to the government college teachers. But universities are autonomous. So before the Indian independence, the University of Punjab at Lahore had increased salaries of all the teachers by enhancing the examination fee charged to the students by 15%. Because university's income was only examination fee. Sarkar was not supporting the university. So today when the examination fee is increased to enhance the income of the universities are closed. But you have to go back and see how to sustain the university. Society has to participate in some way, either by paying special taxes. Either you say whatever comes by income tax, whatever comes by GST, this much fraction of that will go towards educating the future generations of the society. Tax that we pay as GST or tax that we pay as income tax, either part of it should be linked for the future generation, or you have to say the beneficiaries of higher education have to pay the fees, then people who write the university exam, they have to pay that. But there has to be some way, otherwise this thing will not work. So Radhakrishnan said, university teachers should be helped to live in comfort if a teacher is to devote to teaching, learning himself. 48. So this is what has to be implemented in a practical way. So this is, I'm just for the heck of it. So this is the teachers in universities and colleges, and Bhatnagar had done this. And this is what the salaries were paid to teachers in Lahore before the independence. All he did was just match it up to that, so nothing else. And thereafter, it takes 60 years, and slowly it all happened. And it's only in sort of 2006 that the joint secretary in the IAS cadre has the same grade pay as the university teachers. 60 years it took to do this. Okay, so I think my time is up. Let me just end by a few quotes from Saha. He says, "It is necessary that scientific men in India should try to impress upon the government, the states and public bodies to need the encouragement of scientific research and for a scientific handling of economic and industrial problems of the country. If we wish to remodel our society and renew the spring of our civilization and lay the foundation for a strong and progressive national life, we must make the fullest use of the power which the knowledge of nature has given." This is obviously Saha has stated it before he passed away in 56. And then we must mold anew the nature of man in both individual and social aspects so that a richer and more harmonious race may live in this great and ancient land of ours. We must train the coming generation for the services of the community in scientific studies and research. Sounds very contemporary, right? Doesn't sound stated 70 years ago. So with this, thank you very much.
Thank you for this very interesting and very informative lecture. So, can we take a few questions?
Yeah, sure.
Is there any? Yeah.
Hi. Hi. So I have one question, but before that, a small clarification. Meghna spelling is, I think, wrong. It should be spelled together. Meghna. Although it is called Emen Saha, but it is spelled together. Meghna. There is no space.
Thank you. I'll correct.
Okay. The question is that AB Hill recommendation. So I think the history is not clear to me. So AB Hill recommended, it is 1944, right?
Yeah.
So that recommendation was given to the government of India, like.
Yes, sure.
So, but did they accept it or?
Accept is, after all, he said give the money for creation of national labs. No. So while A.V. Hill was in India in January of 1944, 1 crore rupees was given to Bhatnagar to create the first 5.
Okay, it was given.
Yeah, of course.
I see.
See, he says India should have a MIT-like institution. So a committee is appointed to give a plan to create IITs. He says there should be All India Institute of Medical Sciences. So a committee is there which makes a recommendation. You need some concrete recommendations, right?
No,
on which some bureaucrat can sit and put a chapa, allocate money and so on.
No, my query is that, is the British India, was the British India somewhat committed to, after 3 years down the line, they will actually leave India.
Yeah.
So, it's not very clear to me. Was they really committed or it's a bit of a politics thing? What do you think?
The point is that they are anyway leaving India. India needs for that. It says that, what does A.V. Hill says? Disaster lies ahead. So, if India is a disaster, and A.V. Hill doesn't know when he says disaster lies ahead that India will be a completely independent nation. At that time, they were toying India will be like Canada and Australia. If India has a dominion status, then India is intimately linked to the Queen or the King of England, right? So why would they want a part of their empire to be in ruins? They still want to do business with that.
I see. Okay.
So why did they create CSIR? To aid the British war effort against the Germans and the Japanese, right? So we are a part of one side of the war. And they want India to remain a part of that side of the war because India is contributing men, material, everything. Because our soldiers are dying there, right? They don't have that many people. The Indian soldiers are in large number who are dying there.
No, that's why I was, the British intention, it was not very clear. So another quick question.
Yeah.
So just to know what are the reasons behind the differences between Nehru and MNSA? Could you elaborate a bit?
See, everybody is competing. There is a zero-sum game. There is only some bit of a resource which is there. Now, Nehru is more inclined to favor Bhava and not giving that much of a money to Saha. Money initially is coming only out of CSR. It is CSR which is giving money for Nuclear Physics Institute in Calcutta, CSR which is giving money to sustain the IFR, CSR which is also giving money to have the PRL grow up. So resource of money is only one, that is CSR. Initially that CSR is under Ashutosh Mukherjee's son, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, who is a part of the national cabinet. So Saha is, Bhatnagar is reporting to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee in the national cabinet up to January of 1950. So after 50, you have general elections. Saha gets elected as an MP from Calcutta as an independent MP. Now he goes to the parliament. He is a member of the planning commission. And there, more money is going towards the atomic energy. Okay, it's a zero-sum game. Money is limited. Saha would not want so much of a money to be committed to atomic energy program, to develop nuclear materials, this and that. Saha would want universities to be strengthened. Saha is a universities man. It's a universities man. He doesn't want disproportionately the money to go to the atomic energy program. So this is where the differences start arising. Whereas Mahalanobis is there, industrialize India. Second 5-year plan is committing money for increasing the infrastructure of India. First plan goes to agriculture. The second plan is all industry, right? And industry means atomic energy also gets a disproportionate share of money.
And still it gets broke.
Very nice talk. In fact, many of the things from the past, they were really like valuable. I just wanted to ask, what was the reason, the whole idea of creating TIFR and NPL? They all kind of germinated at the same
No,
time.
point is,
Then
TIFR
why the importance?
TIFR is
Instead of NPL, it went to TIFR.
no, NPL was a national measurement lab of India. It was the Baba Bhatnagar was brought into the national test laboratory. Test laboratory standards, okay? Industrial standards have to. The National Measurements Lab is what was created as an NPL in Delhi. But fundamental science does not go in a National Measurements Lab. Fundamental research is not done by the NPL of UK. See,
So although later on lot of basic science has been done in NPL,
yeah, because
the initial mandate was
initial national, because in Krishnan's time there was hardly any national measurements kind of a things in NPL. That starts to happen much later.
Any more questions? If not, then we thank Professor Kumar for this wonderful talk. Thank you very much.
There is this AV, somebody wrote a PhD thesis in JNU on AV Hill report.
oh